Greetings from a very cold Nairobi, Kenya. This is our cold season, but it's truly an honor to be here to do this presentation. As you have heard, my name is Sheila Shefo Mbiru from Mama Doing Good, and Mama Doing Good is it's an organization that delivers the programs and initiatives of the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya. And I'm the head of the First Lady's Mazingira Awards. You'll hear more about Mazingira Awards as we go along. But today, we are here to look at leveraging education for climate action. And I'll get straight into it. In terms of what we are doing today or during this presentation, we'll just have a quick introduction, then we'll look at what is climate action, and then narrow down to education for climate action. And then I'll then be putting a spotlight or presenting an initiative that we are running at Mama Doing Good called the First Lady Mazingira Awards that leverages on education for climate action. And then, of course, I'm happy to answer any questions that we have. So we'll go into a Q&A. So just by way of introduction to start us off, I will be reading, I want to read a quote from the Conference of Parties president. That's the COP27, the Conference of Parties that was held in Egypt in 2022. And he says the impacts of climate change. And now, even when we start thinking about the impacts of climate change, for us here in Kenya and across the world, we have seen the impacts of climate change, extreme weather events, droughts, floods, sea level rise, fires. And that is happening now, and we cannot ignore the impacts of climate change. And so what we're saying is what the COP president at that time in Egypt said, that the impacts of climate change have significant effects on the health, nutrition, education, and future of young people. And we all know, we've just been, discussing just before the call started that, across the world, the percentage of young people in countries across the world, in some countries, 50%, 60%, 70%. And so we cannot ignore the young people. And so we are saying, meanwhile, these young people stand to be the most impacted by decisions we take at the climate change process. Therefore, they should be considered a natural ally and partner in driving climate change. So we're talking about, in driving climate action. We're talking about climate action, and we need to engage the young people. And of course, Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, always reminding us that climate change is moving faster than we are. But we don't give up, because we know that climate action is the only path. So climate action is very key for each of us, individually, as institutions, as communities, as countries, and globally. Climate action is the only path. And our very own, the late Professor Wangari Maathai, said that the future does not exist in the future. Rather, it is born only through our actions in the present. And if we don't realize something in the future, we must take action towards it now. If we want to realize, something in the future, we must take action towards it now. So here we are, we're saying we must take climate action. And that brings us to the next, to what we're here to discuss. So what is climate action? And, as I'll keep it very simple, so that, we can all be together. We're saying climate action refers to the actions and steps taken to address climate change, including efforts, of course, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, adapt to impacts of climate change, and promote sustainability practices. So climate action is at individual level, at community level, institutional level, country level, and global level. So each one of us, has a responsibility to take climate action, and we have to take climate action now. But in the context of education, we are saying that climate action looks at the range of strategies and initiatives and practices. And what we're looking at is integrating climate change awareness. We need to create understanding around climate change, share knowledge, share information around climate change, and then look at sustainability principles and, of course, environmental stewardship. And all this will be building knowledge and empowering individuals, institutions, empowering us all to take action. And we're saying this is both in the context of education and educational settings. We're looking at structured, that is formal education, and unstructured learning environments. So both formal and informal education. And in terms of education for climate action, we are saying both formal and informal, very essential in helping young learners. Now we're going to look at education and look at learners. And it's very important to help them understand climate change and change attitudes and behaviors so that they can take informed action. So what we're looking is at long term. We want them to understand now, to get knowledge, awareness, so that they can change their behavior through, as they grow up and become citizens. So we need to start early. We need to start them as they grow, and so that they can take informed actions. When children are aware about climate change and its impacts, they can contribute to environmental conservation and climate action. Actually, I came across a research paper that said that if only 16% of high school students, especially in high and middle income countries, were to receive climate change education, we could see a nearly 19 gigaton reduction of carbon dioxide by 2050. And I know if this research was done even in our countries, we would find the same thing. Because what we're saying is education helps students develop a sense of personal connection to environmental solutions and climate solutions, as well as a sense of personal agency and empowerment, so that they can get involved. And this consequently impacts their behavior and the decisions they make. And this will translate into their overall lifetime carbon footprint. So what we do now as they grow will then translate into addressing climate change and environmental issues as they grow. And one of the global frameworks, the United Nations Convention on Climate Change, also understands the vital role that education plays, both formal and informal, in climate action. So we have to understand, some of these global frameworks. And this particular one, Action for Climate Empowerment, the goal is to empower all members of society. So everyone has a role to play, each one of us. And each one of us need to engage in climate action. And there are 6 elements around action for climate empowerment. We can see them there on the screen. We are looking at education, public awareness, training, public participation, public access to information, and international cooperation. And what we're trying to do is to foster, better understanding of climate change and environmental issues, so that they can be addressed at all levels. Promote community engagement, creativity around how to respond, and of course, knowledge and understanding. And then recognizing that we have to engage all stakeholders, all have to be involved. Antonio Guterres said we need to address climate change now, and so we need international cooperation, we need partnerships, we need to all come together to address climate change. So this framework is very key in terms of leveraging education for climate action, because they have recognized the vital role and look at how we can develop practical skills, how we can change habits, how information can be freely available, information on climate change, and how we can have public participation when looking at climate action. And there are many other global frameworks. Of course, we know the Sustainable Development Goals. There are many of them. There's the goal on education, the goal on renewable energy, sustainable cities, the goal on responsible consumption, life on water, life on land, partnerships. But I think the one that speaks to what we're talking about now is climate action. The goal number 13, and of course there are many targets, and particularly the target on target 13.3, where we're looking at build knowledge and capacity to meet climate change. So speaking specifically to climate change, so we're looking at improving education, awareness raising, human and institutional capacity on climate change mitigation, adaptation, impact reduction, and early warning. And so it speaks specifically on building knowledge and capacity around climate change. And then, of course, there are many other frameworks nationally, globally, globally, and sorry, I've lost my capacity to scroll. The screen sharing has been paused. Hello? My screen sharing has been paused.
I do see your screen sharing.
But I can't.
It says it's been paused.
It says pause. So do I unpause it? Who unpauses it? Is it me? Sorry about this.
I can. We can.
Can I stop and start again, or?
Sure. Yes. Absolutely.
I don't know how to unpause that. I'm sorry about that. This is resume. Okay. All right. Yeah. Are we okay? Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
I must have done something that I shouldn't do. So I hope we're all good. Are we all together? So I was saying that apart from the United Nations Framework Convention, the Action for Climate Empowerment and SDGs, we have the ESD, which is the Education for Sustainable Development. We have the African Union Agenda 2063 that speaks about education for climate action. And of course, there are many organizations, UNESCO, UNICEF, UNCCLAN, very many organizations are talking about leveraging education for climate action. And the last COP28 in Dubai had the inaugural education pavilion, which was placing a spotlight. It was the first time that there was an education pavilion at a COP, and just placing a spotlight on the pivotal role of education in addressing climate change. So education for climate action. So, globally, regionally, we're talking about leveraging on education for climate action. And also in Kenya, nationally. Okay, there we go again. I don't know what's going on.
You look okay on our end.
So nationally, so let me zero in on Kenya. We have the Climate Change Act 2016 that specifically talks about mainstreaming climate change into the curricula at all levels, starting from elementary level all the way primary, secondary, and to tertiary level. And they talk about they mandate the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development to do that. So a lot of strides have been made in mainstreaming climate change into curricula. And so, yes, we also have the National Climate Change Learning and Awareness Strategy that Julie mentioned earlier, that has specific actions that talk about how to leverage education for climate action. And recently, the last year, the president of Kenya put together a working party on education reforms. We had experts look at how to reform education, and some of the very key things they came up with are I'll just spotlight a few. They talked about some of the recommendations they came. They realized that climate action is a cross-cutting theme that they need to integrate and mainstream into the education sector. And so they came up with recommendations talking about institutionalizing and implementing an environment in climate change action at all levels of education, including tree growing programs targeting 15 million trees, infusing climate change in the curriculum, and institutionalizing environmental conservation climate action in all learning institutions. So we can see globally, regionally, and nationally, we need to leverage education for climate action to address the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, and all the challenges we're having environmentally. So what we're saying is education, both formal and informal, are vital for climate action, equipping individuals at all levels with the knowledge and skills they need to address environmental challenges, promote sustainability, and inspire collective climate action for a greener future. And so what we're saying is, so there's formal and informal, learning. So we have formal and informal education, or formal and informal learning. So the formal education or the formal learning, we have curriculum integration. And this is where we are saying we need to integrate climate change into our curriculum. We have climate literacy, where we have programs, various programs at different levels that are looking at sharing knowledge and skills for anyone who's interested. So there are formal programs for schools at the university, TVETs, that have, share literacy around climate change and climate action. Then we have schools that have formal programs around integrating environmentally friendly learning environment. So they have programs in schools that look at renewable energy, look at waste management. So structured, integrated programs. Then, of course, there's professional development for staff, for teachers, for parents. How then do they build their capacity to understand climate change and so that they're able then to take action, but also to impart that knowledge to others. So on the formal side, this is what we have. Informally, and there are many. I just picked a few for discussion, but there are many, of course. And then informally, we are looking at digital platforms, online platforms, webinars like this one that is sharing knowledge around climate change so that people can understand climate change. We have many such opportunities. Then, of course, community engagement programs across the country, some around our schools, some just within the community, looking at how to engage, even volunteer, how to engage in climate action. Then creative expression. Creative expression, of course, is how then to use the arts, to use music, to use creative writing, and to understand, to express, to understand, and to express solutions and perspectives around how to address climate change. And then, of course, hands-on learning that is outside of the structured, the formal learning, which is learning by doing, experiential learning and, just sustainable practices, but outside the formal learning. And what we're saying is, for this presentation, we'll focus on the last two, creative expression and hands-on learning. We want to spotlight or to showcase an initiative that is leveraging informal education for climate action. And I have highlighted creative expression and hands-on learning because that's what we're going to be looking at in this presentation. We're going to be understanding how we can use creative expression for informal learning to engage young people, raise awareness, and inspire action towards sustainability. And we're looking at activities like art, music, storytelling, multimedia projects, and how they can serve as valuable tools for educating, engaging, and empowering learners. And our first, presentation will look at learning by creative expression. And we'll be looking at the First Lady's Mazingira Awards, FLAMA. So FLAMA is short for the First Lady Mazingira Awards. So when you hear me saying FLAMA, I'll be talking about the First Lady Mazingira Awards. And you can see a picture there of young people sharing their message through the art piece saying, we need to save the earth. So what is FLAMA? And what is the goal of FLAMA? So the goal of FLAMA is to nurture, empower, and equip all learners. When we say all learners, we're talking about being inclusive, being, making sure that all learners participate through creative expression and hands-on training to become environmentally conscious and climate-ready citizens. That's our end goal, environmentally conscious and climate-ready citizens. But how are we doing it? And what is FLAMA? What is FLAMA? So, sorry about this. I keep seeing and pausing. So FLAMA is a learner-centered. So it's a learner-centered. It's a national, annual environment and climate change competition. So FLAMA will be held annually, and it's national across the country. It's an environment and climate change competition, and it's rolled out in collaboration with Kenya's Ministry of Education, Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, the National Treasury, and a diverse range of stakeholders, including UN bodies and the private sector. And what FLAMA is doing is creating a platform for learners like those you can see in the picture to creatively express their understanding, solutions for environment and climate change challenges through art, creative writing, and spoken word. We want to inspire and empower learners with knowledge and skills to shift attitudes. Very important. That's the end goal, to shift attitudes and change behavior from a very young age so they can become environmental stewards, climate change champions, and restoration ambassadors. And of course, offers a chance for learners to contribute to Kenya's environment and climate change agenda. Who are the beneficiaries? Very important. The beneficiaries are the 18 million young learners, including special need learners. We're very, very keen on leaving no learner behind. So we are looking at working with the 89,000 public and private primary and secondary schools across Kenya. And the 2,900 special needs learner schools. In the picture there, you can see Her Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Mama Rachel Ruto, with a learner. And one of the things that is very clear, and she always reiterates, that whatever we do, we leave no learner behind. And so all learners will participate. So allow me to take you very quickly through a journey, the FLAMA journey, starting in 2023. We look at the design and plan, how the award was designed and planned, the governance structure, the first competition that we had for the name, tagline, and logo, the launch at the Africa Climate Summit, and then a learners event. So I'll go step by step, and I'll just go through, not in depth, just so that we can understand. The First Lady Mazingira Awards, FLAMA, was based on the successes and lessons learned from the Kenya Climate Change Art and Essay Competition 2018. The inaugural Kenya Climate Change Art and Essay Competition was targeting learners, but only in Nairobi County, one of the 47 sub-national counties. So it was the geographical location was just one, the national county, which is Nairobi. But the idea was to get learners, again, to express themselves around climate change. So what the Office of the First Lady, through Mama Doing Good, is looking at is the successes and lessons learned from that competition were then built into the First Lady Mazingira Awards. And of course, considered best practice from other national and global environmental awards across Kenya and across the country. But the most important thing is now the FLAMA scope will be nationwide, leaving no learner behind. Learners across all 47 countries will participate. Very important is, I think it is, Julie, you said that we can't do this alone. So the First Lady Mazingira Awards has a technical working group that is made up of experts from relevant organizations, experts who come and share their knowledge, their expertise around climate change, environmental conservation, around education, and all other aspects. And so we have a representation from the ministries, departments, and agencies to come together, design, develop, and deliver the competition. So design thinking: how do we address the learners and of course the teachers and get them engaged? And the technical working groups incorporates relevant experts as and when the need arises. So they've had various working sessions and tech consultations. One of the most important things that came from Her Excellency and the team members was that the name, the tagline, and the logo for the awards should be learner-led. So the first competition we held was in 2023 through March and April, open to all learners across the country. We developed a robust assessment criteria. We had assessment by educators, artists, climate scientists, and of course the First Lady, and the winners and outstanding entries were recognized in September 2023. Just quickly, a letter was sent out from the Ministry of Education through the Office of the Principal Secretary to all schools to tell them to participate. Those were some of the posters that were sent out through various channels so that as many learners could participate. We got amazing entries from across the country. Look at these images. Some of them were hand-drawn, some were digitally drawn, some were painted. Amazing drawings, amazing expressions of what the learners felt that the competition would be called, and amazing taglines, amazing names for the competition. I just put some of the sample local entries for you to see. You can see: believe, become, believe, behave, become what you believe, connect with nature, our earth, our home, time to act, and many others, many others. We had people, learners, telling us that they want what the awards should be called. The tagline: cut the greed, not the green. Knowledge for a greener future. Save trees, save the future. So just a snapshot. And then finally, after a very robust and very rigorous and open assessment, which was done online, that was very fair and objective, this was the winning logo. You can see this beautiful logo designed by a learner, depicting learners holding hands across Kenya. There are learners of all shapes and sizes, learners of all faiths, learners with disability holding hands across Kenya. The tree in the middle symbolizes a green, sustainable Kenya. And so that's the logo, by learners for learners. The name was First Lady's Mazingira Awards. Mazingira is a Swahili word meaning environment. The tagline is Mazingira yetu, jukumu letu, which is Swahili for our environment, our responsibility. So these learners are holding hands across Kenya saying, our environment is our responsibility. Every time I show this logo, I get parents and teachers saying, then we need to hold hands around them. But this is what the learners said for the name, the tagline, and the logo. And these were the logo, the name, the tagline was unveiled at a very auspicious event where the First Lady recognized the three young gentlemen you see are the ones. The one in the middle is the one who did the logo, and on the sides, one did the name, the one on the right did the name, and the one on the left did the tagline. Yeah, I don't know how it happened. There are no girls, but there you go. Those are the three. It was unveiled during the Africa Climate Summit. We also, of course, the learners got recognized. There we have the former Cabinet Secretary of Education who was present. We have other high-level dignitaries came and they received a recognition. They received digital devices. They received trophies, certificates, and a lot of art material. A lot of awards. We also recognized on the right. We have the 5 girls. The 5 deaf girls who participated, just so that we can motivate other learners with disability to participate. We also had the youngest entrant from a 5-year-old, and teachers were given certificates of appreciation. So that was the name, tagline, and logo competition. Then we had the First Lady launch the Mazingira Awards at the sidelines of the Africa Climate Summit, a very colorful ceremony. We had learners at such an important event, and it was really good to have learners mingle with, change makers and dignitaries and experts in the climate change space. But there they were. We had the cabinet secretary, we had principal secretary, we had partners, vice chancellors from various universities, diplomats, and most importantly, we had educators and learners. During that time, and every time we engage with learners, we want to make the experience memorable and for them to learn from being with us, share knowledge, share information. So we had a learning event. It was a 2-day learner-centered eco program from 7th to 8th. So after the launch, after the unveiling of the name, tagline, and logo, and the launch of the First Lady Mazingira Awards, we had an eco program, eco's learner dedicated space. We had 200 learners and 50 teachers from across the country, many of them coming to the city, the capital of Nairobi for the first time. And it was an experience for them. But beyond that, we had edutainment, we had a children's panel, we had storytelling, climate change games, virtual reality, and learners showcasing their eco initiatives, and then a tree planting event. On the left, the bottom left, you can see a young, it was a panel for the learners, by the learners, and we had a lady who moderated that session. She's Dr. Yvonne Maingi, and when she was a young girl, she won an environment competition, and that changed her trajectory as she grew. She now has a PhD in climate change, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to impact on the young learners that they too can start from a young age and end up making a difference in the environment and climate change space. On the right, we see young learners who presented a beautiful poem around the environment. And so we had this space dedicated for the learners. They had their entertainment, they were recognized, and they had dignitaries speak to them. And then we had a space, like I said, a dedicated space. On the extreme left, you can see we had a gallery that was showcasing the art. We had a space where one of our private sector supporters gave us art materials. So we had a space where the learners were able to come and paint and draw. And then we had the young ones. Each of them had a beautiful Ankara bag, beautiful backpack. But in there were lots of books and materials around the environment. And each of them had a chance to go home with their bags. Then we had a symbolic tree, what we call the Tree of Hope. You can see on the right, where learners and anyone who came into this space was able to write their commitment, their individual or collective commitment around climate action, and hang it up on the Tree of Hope. On the top left, you can see we had virtual reality, and this game was around sustainable waste management. These learners were picking waste using virtual reality and were very engaging. We had some learners play games. And then, of course, we had puppets who were talking about tree growing to the young learners, at their level, and telling them how to grow trees, when to grow trees. And so there was a lot of information sharing on what to do, and that culminated in a beautiful event hosted by the First Lady at State House, where she hosted the young learners for a banquet. But before that, they were able to plant trees and grow trees. There was a demonstration on the best way to grow trees. And then they each got to plant trees, and then, of course, had a session engaging with everyone there, and, of course, the First Lady. Now, I want to talk about where we are in 2024. That was 2023. We got the name, tagline, and logo, launched the competition. So January 2024, we rolled out the First Lady Mazingira Awards in primary and junior schools. And I'll be speaking more about the portal, how we do it, and how we'll be doing the assessment and the judgment process and the celebration. So this year, the competition, the 2024 competition. And we are targeting primary, lower primary, upper primary, junior secondary, and we, of course, we have special needs education. And we're saying this year we are looking at primary and junior school, not high school. Because this was the first run, we wanted to create the system and make sure that all is running well. Then next year we'll include high school. But for this year, we have primary, junior school, special needs education. The categories are drawing, painting, essay writing, Swahili, English, and spoken word. And then our tagline is, our theme for this year is restore our land, secure our future. What we have there is in Swahili, turejeshe ardhi yetu, tuhakikishe mustakabali wetu. Very important, based on the World Environment Day theme. What we're saying is we want our learners to be looking at global issues, but giving local solutions. And for this year, we want to highlight the importance of land restoration, desertification, building drought resilience in Kenya, securing a sustainable future. And so the learners internalize this theme. They go and research, they go and do peer-to-peer discussions and learning with their parents, with their teachers, and then express themselves through drawing, painting, essay writing, and spoken word. These are the posters that we sent out so that the learners can engage. And how then are they engaged? How are they sending in their submissions? We have a portal, an online portal, www.flama.go.ke, specifically for school registrations and submission of learner entries, which is done online through the portal. And then we have guidelines and rules, very clear guidelines and rules around the theme, around how to submit, what to submit, when to submit. And so that is being done online. And just to say that right now, where are we? We've rolled out. Of course, we have the portal. The registration and submissions is now closed. 31st July, yesterday or 2 days ago, we closed the FLAMA for 2020, the First Lady Mazingira Awards for 2024. Now, what are we doing? The next step is we are now identifying assessors, those who will judge the entries that have come in. And the assessors are teachers of English, Swahili, art, and then, of course, special need learner teachers. And then we have subject matter experts, SME, they're subject matter experts, to ensure that the entries, the essays, the spoken word has interpreted the theme around restoration and land degradation well. And then in August, September, we'll have the judging process. We've received amazing entries across the country. And then we have the national award ceremony set out for Mazingira Day. It's a national holiday, Mazingira Environment Day on 10th of October. And we're looking forward to that. We're working towards that. I just wanted to, on the screen right now, you see an entry in Braille. We have learners with disability who have presented their ideas and their solutions. They're making their voices heard. And so we've received entries from learners across the country, but I just thought I should showcase this. We've received essays in Braille. So learners, visually impaired learners across the country are also having their voices heard. And then next, what we're going to do after the award ceremony, we're going to pick out the winners. We want to, those who write well, those who illustrate well, we want to take them through a training and mentorship bootcamp so that they can be trained to write stories about what is going on around us that we can relate to. So there's going to be a training and mentorship bootcamp. And then, of course, a winners exhibition showcase where the winners then will be able to showcase their work. And then we'll have an eco-edutainment trip for the winners and the teachers somewhere across Kenya. Then in December, we'll be looking at reviewing and planning. Reviewing, very important. What has worked, what has not worked? How do we build back better for 2025 as we plan for 2025 and then roll out FLAMA in 2025. So that is FLAMA. That is what we have done, and that is what we are doing now. Learning through creative expression. So allow me now just to go very quickly. Hands-on learning, learning by doing. Tree growing in schools. And this is where we are saying, so there's learning by creative expression, and then now we are saying learning by doing. We're working with schools across the country and learners to get them to establish tree nurseries. In collaboration, of course, with partners, we provide seedlings, potting bags, nursery establishment training. How then do you establish tree nurseries? So they can have tree nurseries in their school. They can grow tree seedlings. They can share seedlings in their community with their parents, with the community around them. We're also establishing mama fruit gardens, very important, where schools are growing fruit trees, minimum of 200 trees for conservation, restoration, but most importantly, food security. They will eat the fruits, mango trees, avocado, all sorts of fruits. And then once they have a surplus, then income generation. And this is very important because it's supporting our national tree growing target. We have a target to grow 15 billion trees by, that's 2030. And the Office of the First Lady, through Mama Doing Good, has a target of growing 500 million trees. So these learners are contributing to the national tree growing agenda, but also learning by getting their hands dirty, by understanding, by experiencing out there how to do it. And when we do this, we involve experts from our different ministries and departments and agencies, so they understand how to do it, why they're doing it, and to do it the right way. So here we just have pictures of learners, with their seedlings, growing trees. We have a picture of a nursery, and this is the tree growing. So I've talked about tree growing learning by creative expression, learning by tree growing. And what we're saying is these programs, how do we make them sustainable? How do we ensure that, that these programs are running and running well? One of the things that we're looking at is entrenching the First Lady Mazingira Awards within the annual co-curricular school calendar for Kenya, and then working with existing structures within schools like environment clubs, scouts and girl guides, because when we leave the schools, then we leave them there for accountability, for monitoring, and to ensure that the activities that we do are working well. Then develop avenues to monetize learners' creative works for motivation, to encourage entrepreneurship, future streams of income, looking at annual art auctions and publishing this art that they're doing. How then are they going to benefit from it? What they're doing, even selling the fruits that they grow, for example. Data collection is very key. We have research. We have research data officers who are looking at collecting data because we want to inform and improve future activities. We're ensuring monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning throughout the implementation of this program. And we're looking at transitioning this program from the office, the First Lady to being domiciled in a relevant ministry, which is Ministry of Education, Ministry of Environment, of course, a dedicated budget. Right now, we are just creating the structures, creating the platform, and then we will transition it to the ministry, to the government. And then, very important and very key, we need to ensure strategic partnerships and engagement and support of relevant stakeholders. We cannot do this alone. And we want to acknowledge all the people that we have worked with through the year. You know, the Government Ministry of Education, Environment, Treasury, Kenya Meteorological Department, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, Kenya Forest Research Institute, Kenya Forestry Service. And then we have partners who have supported us: Malaria No More, NCBA Bank, World Vision, Plan International, UNCC Land, Buni Media. I want to mention them by name: Textbook Center, Kavu, Allen and Jill Grape. They have been there with us. We cannot do it alone. And this is the point where we are saying, if you're on the call and you think that you can partner with us, you can support learners thriving and being the best versions of themselves all around, and also growing up to be environment champions and climate change ambassadors. We are happy to partner. We are happy to work together. We are happy to collaborate, and just as we have so far. Very quickly, I just want to share as I finish these pictures. On the left, we have an image, the image of the learners who won last year. We have a young boy called David Jackson. On the second right. He's the one who designed the logo. That time he was a student in high school, and he finished high school. He did very well. He got an A in art. And now he's a FLAMA ambassador. You can see on the top right there, he's with the First Lady, and he comes to our events. He comes to talk to learners because they're able to engage with him. But he's wearing a T-shirt at the top right that has the logo that he designed. And he engages with learners, he engages with education officials so that they can understand how to get learners to engage in environmental conservation and climate action. And so I will end there by saying, asanteni sana, thank you very much. Indeed, we can all work together to leverage education for climate action so that our learners thrive and become environmental champions and climate action ambassadors, and for a sustainable green future in Kenya, in Africa, and in the world. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana.